You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. LaTosha, what do you make of, again, all of this? Folks are saying Joe Biden was being paternalistic and condescending. Now you got Republicans who are, Donald Trump Jr., I'm going to pull up, tweeted this out. Now they're trying to sell T-shirts because they think the way to get to black people, the black vote, is to sell some shirts. And so this is the shirt that they're selling now. Hashtag you ain't black, Joe Biden. And again, here's the deal. Paris really didn't want to answer all that stuff, that anti-black stuff Donald Trump has been doing. So what did you just make of all the little drama today?
One, let me say to you, you have the patience of Job. I will just let you know, my brother, you have a tremendous amount of patience. Secondly, the last person in the world that I think we should even be given the time or the energy around having a conversation around racism and bigotry is anybody that is associated and lifting up Trump at this moment. And so what I will say is that it is fundamentally, let's be honest, fundamentally, racism is a problem on the left side, on the right side, on throughout the fiber of this country, that we are dealing with racism. And so ultimately and fundamentally, I don't think, even for me, while I do work and I support work mostly because of on the Democratic candidate side, is because the Republicans don't even pretend to give you anything to work with. I think the comments that, let's just get down to it. The comments that Biden made today were not only cavalier and insensitive, but it actually talks about, underneath that, it really points to a greater issue. And there's a greater issue around how the Democratic Party, historically, the Democratic Party has taken black folks for granted. That on some level, that there's always this element around taking black people and the black vote for granted, because there's this idea that we don't have anywhere to go. And so I think that that's one piece. What was some truth in what he said that I think we would think about is what he spoke to around Trump, that black folks are acutely aware of the racist nature of Trump, that how he aligns himself with white supremacists, and that many of us think that he's a white supremacist himself, and that because of that, that we are acutely aware of the danger in a way that white people across the board, including white Democrats, fail to ignore, fail to acknowledge, fail to address. And so fundamentally, to the extent that I think of what he raised, I think there's some truth into that. What the question is for me right now is not just spending time around just his comment. I think the comment I hope it has some folks, their ears perked out and their eyes, that we're saying, okay, how are we going to go forward? What is really important is not just what he says, right? Because there's a whole bunch of people that have told us what they're going to do and how they believe, and they love black folks. They say all the right things. And, I think ultimately what right now, and I'll go back to even the op-ed that we worked on. Right now is going to go, what are we going to see come out of the Biden campaign now? That's really going to, one, acknowledge, right, the contribution of black folks by, one, making sure that the black agenda, that there is within his agenda, that there is a black agenda that meets our needs. Two, that he adequately really addressed what we were talking about in terms of the priorities our communities are going to. And three, if nothing else, if today didn't show me anything else, it is the quintessential example. You can get a better example of why I fundamentally believe that he needs not, we're asking him something because we're asking him to do something for us necessarily. He needs a black woman. That in his campaign, he has a major weakness as it comes to structural racism, how to address that, even in terms of how he sees black voters. I think that is really important, that if we want, even if we're talking about the swing vote, if we're talking about even the Midwest, in which Amy Klobuchar was supposed to be leading the candidate for VP to lead to be able to pull the Midwestern working class voters. I mean, at the end of the day, in there, why black folks in South Carolina elected him, I mean, part of them voted for him because they thought that which he says that he is a candidate that can consolidate the white Democrats, and also that he was a candidate for white working class. So fundamentally, what is in that ticket, what he needs on that ticket is he needs a black woman on that ticket to both energize the base, to actually add some depth in his campaign around structural racism, also to make sure that there is, at the perspective of Black voters, those who in many times, let's be honest, Black voters raised him from the dead. We did a Lazarus move. Like, his campaign was dead on arrival. There are Black voters that raised him from the dead. What we can't get caught up in, and I think that we don't need to let this conversation where the spin cycle, let's be clear, that Trump and his crew have this spin cycle that at the end of the day, I'm like, boy, bye. At the end of the day, to really be able to use this, to try to use as an example of the saying, oh yeah, look how racist he is. On some level, Black folk know that racism is particularly in this country, that we've seen it on the most liberal side, right? That we know that, and we're more sophisticated. We should be more sophisticated to really be able to recognize that and really recognize the spin. So I think that instead of even just focusing on the comment, which the comment was absolutely, he shouldn't have said the comment, and it was offensive, but it speaks to something greater that didn't start with Biden, right? That actually is entrenched within this Democratic Party, that in some way Black voters are not taken, and our agenda and how we're prioritized is not taken for granted. I think what is important for us to do right now is not to get caught up in the spin cycle that the Republicans are trying to do, but really this is the moment right now that we've got to push the envelope, that this is the moment now that we've got to push, and you've got to earn our vote. You can't take for granted. At the end of the day, we're not voting just so we can participate. The reason why we're voting is because we want our participation to literally transform into some power for our community, some harm reduction in our community. We're in the, I know that there was a comment by the campaign made that that was a comment made in jest. That's in many ways, that's even more offensive. Like what is it about Black voters that we can feel the confidence around making a comment in jest? No, he made a comment. He was out of order. It was wrong. He should back it up. But the way that he moves forward and being able, I don't think that all is lost. I think the way that he moves forward is that what we need to see his campaign more aggressively show us that they are serious about Black voters, that they are serious about earning Black voters, that we see the demands of what people are asking for be addressed, and addressed in a way that doesn't minimize what we're saying, but really addressed in a way that he understands the seriousness, because there is no path to the White House without Black voters.
Well, see, here's what fundamentally bothers me. And again, I sort of look at this thing as a meal. Now, if you give me the appetizer and then say, how was the meal? And I'm like, well, where in the hell was the entree and where was the dessert? So I can't judge a meal based upon just the appetizer.
That's right.
And so when I watch the administration, this administration do what they try to do today again, and they all riled up. Senator Tim Scott, he out there with Katrina Pearson, talking about this was condescending and it was all of this. While you running your mouth, I do have to say, but where are you? Because see, it's a little hard. Again, I'm going to go back to my cooking analogy. It's a little hard for somebody to trash somebody else's cooking if they can't cook. And what bothers me is when I'm sitting here, which is why I wanted Paris to answer those questions. See, you have credibility with me if, one, you can own up to your shit. That's first. If you can say, you know what, you're right, we should have done that. But when you deflect, when you want to say, no, we ain't going to talk about all that, let's just stick to what Joe Biden had to say.
That's right.
Because the other deal is here, I don't only measure Joe Biden by the comment he made today. I don't only measure Joe Biden by the 1994 crime bill. I look at somebody's totality. The fundamental problem that I have here, and this is what, for me, it breaks it all down. The Republican Party, as a party, has a bullseye on Black people.
Absolutely.
Let me just be clear. The Republican Party as a party, top to bottom, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, where they passed a bill essentially making it criminal for you to register people to vote, and they were targeting, let's be honest, groups like Black Voters Matter. When you look at what happens in Florida, when you have Amendment 4 that's passed that restores the voting rights to 1.4 million people, I was waiting for Republicans to come forward, and what did they do? Not only did they change the law by saying you got to pay all your fines, they even changed the law to make it harder to do ballot initiatives in the future. And now we can then go to Louisiana, and we can go to Mississippi, and we can go to Texas, and then we can go to the Midwest. We can go on and on and on. And so my problem is, if y'all as a party want to have a discussion about Joe Biden's comment, let's talk. But your stuff will be discussed. And trust me, it won't go very well. See, that's the fundamental issue I have here, LaTosha.
I think part of it, I on some level, let me say this, of doing organizing and doing this work for more than 25 years, what I do know is that Black folks are astute. There are some, you're going to always have some. You can't win them all, right? But at the end of the day, we ain't stupid, right? And even in the voters in our community, when we hear that, we know, it's not. So I think on some level, they are creating, even when I saw the T-shirt and it said, I ain't Black, I was like, perhaps that's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you have for yourself. So at the end of the day, and I think we're in such a serious moment that from talking about even the Republicans of how they're going to spend this, I think, yes, we do need to have let folks know, right? On some level, I think that Black folks know that there's a certain astuteness that we have. But secondly, I think it's even more important that when we're talking about like this comment, right, that he made, that we don't just get caught up and hung up on the comment, and then now it becomes a spin cycle,
right?
Because the comment in itself becomes the energy and the fuel for the Republicans. But then there's a family conversation,
right?
And the family conversation around Black voters is absolutely that comment was out of order. It was offensive. It was insensitive. It was out of order. And it does speak to the issue that we have had ongoing with white Democrats, Republicans alike, that in this country, fundamentally, that Black folks, that literally when we're talking about voter suppression, right, when we're talking about literally equating that to power, at the end of the day, one of the pieces I think is interesting in one of the comments, in the comment that Biden made, he said, he talked about Trump, and that there was this assumption that in some ways that because he's better than Trump, that Black folks are gonna go with him. Now, what he is right about is he's better than Trump, but that's a real low bar, Roland.
Right.
He's better than Trump is
right.
a real low bar, right? Ultimately, I think what we have to do is really be able to center this conversation, not about Biden, not about Trump,
right,
but about us. That this conversation for us, for Black voters, has to be centered around Black folks. Right now, where we've got more Black folk, that we are disproportionately dying than anybody in this country,
right,
from COVID-19, when our people are locked up like we are animals more than anybody else in this country, when we're actually seeing folks get out of jail on a get out of jail free card because of a virus, yet we've got brothers and sisters sitting in jail right now that haven't even been officially charged, right, that they won't let out. I think that's fundamentally the issue, because in this, it's not just about the candidates. Structural racism is embedded in the very fabric of this country and in the political systems and in the political parties. I'm raising that because I think that we have to be strategic, that those of us that do this work,
right,
those of us that bring criticism, but those of us that know that Trump is absolutely dangerous, and we can't fall for the okie doke around Trump being dangerous, but we also have to hold the Democrats, and we've got to hold Biden accountable. What I am saying is Biden has an opportunity at this moment. You said something that literally has created, you made your own bed, that has created an issue around with Black folks, and Black folks are going to be looking at your record a little bit closer, as they should.
Right.
Black folks are going to be holding you accountable at a higher standard, as they should. Black folks are going to be putting pressure on you to really be able to deliver for us, as we should. And so ultimately, I think what we've got to make sure that we're centering this conversation is, what in the hell is it that we want? That what are we going to ask for that's going to provide some harm reduction for our community, that this is a moment of seriousness for us. And then as we go forward, and we can't get caught up, let me be clear, we can't get caught up in this, in the spin cycle of the Republicans, those who seek to kill us, those who literally will open up states when they know, like when they know that we are disproportionately dying. So let's not, like, we're not going for the okie doke, right? But ultimately, we also have to keep the pressure on to make sure that that when we cast our vote, that who we're casting our vote for has a clear understanding of the value of our vote, the value of our lives, and are going to be accountable to that.
Well, that's why.
So that's what the conversation has to be.
And that's why I responded to somebody online earlier, and they were talking about, well, we're going to get the same from Biden as we're going to get from Trump. And they said we should focus on lower ballots. And I had to remind them
that's ridiculous.
That there are about 870 federal judges in the United States. Donald Trump has already appointed more than 200 of them. If Donald Trump wins 4 more years, he will likely appoint half of all federal judges in America, meaning those 35 to 45-year-old and 88% of his judges have been white men, then they're going to be in power on the federal bench for the next 40 to 50 years. I'm just saying. LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. This is the Ceek VR headset created by Mary Spiel, the sister. We had her on the show. Black woman. She actually is the inventor of this particular headset. And so what happens is you just simply place your phone right into here, and then of course close it up, and then go to their website and then their app, and you can actually experience the comedy showcase. And so they have these headsets, these VR headsets on their site, Ceek.com, for sale. Then also they have these 4D 360-degree headphones. First of all, I love the two stuff because they're in black and old gold, my frat colors. But these are awesome because for gamers, it comes with a detachable headset, and again, folks, it gives you 360-degree sound. Amazing sound. If you want to buy these, you have a promo code you can use. This is just for our followers, and it is RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Put that promo code in. If you want to buy the headphones, buy the VR headset, you get that discount to buy it. They're amazing. So Ceek.com, RMVIP2020. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.